is two things I observe in this room. You guys are fantastic. You are well known. You influence your kind of your area that you are given, and you are delivering great performance. But there's one big problem. You are all above a certain age, and within a couple of years, say 5, 10 years, if you don't bring your sons and daughters, your business will die.
Wow. I'll keep repeating the tagline on CTA. It's you truly never know people until you take the time out to get to know people. Can I shock you, Peter? I once interviewed you.
Yes.
I'm like, I can see
No,
you like,
no. I'm trying to think when.
I interviewed you. I was the host for Base Creators Garage. So there's an event. I think you had just become CEO. So we did an event at Carnival.
I remember now.
Yeah. And you, Juakali, Aviad.
Yes, I remember. I remember.
I don't know, there was much leaner.
Yes, I remember.
Anyway, we continue with this amazing story. First of all, thank you so much, because I say you have to come to CTA with the right posture. You have to come to with CTA with the posture of authenticity, vulnerability, and giving of your life story. And when you do that, other people then take the value. I really feel like you are doing that. So thank you so much for honoring the platform.
No problem.
So we are at where you are no longer an accountant. I'm like, what?
Yes.
What
Now
is this?
that is history. I kind of thought that I'd moved on from being an accountant when I moved from audit to consulting on the professional side.
Yeah.
But when I joined industry, so to say, when I joined the East Africa Breweries, I realized now I'm no longer an accountant, because accountants kind of report, analyze, and so on and so forth. This was about shaping the future of the business, being involved in big decisions, and so on and so forth, which are still influencing the business today.
Wow.
So it tells you, like that's what 20 years ago, and also I can see application of some of the things that we did then in other industries or even broader organizations. So my learning in working in that strategy role is that innovation, or especially strategic innovation, comes from sources you didn't know. Like this thing of me going to sit in one room place to observe how you sell drinks, if I may sanitize it like that, yeah. And also to think that also that's a businesswoman who eventually probably became now a keg kind of retailer. So
I love the fact that you came up with a whole different distribution line for this because of the cost analysis. You were able to say, this we can't apply with the same route that we've been using.
We can't afford. The customer can't afford. So sometimes when people say, oh, the cost is too high, you kind of say, look, no. Focus on the price the customer can pay and then work backwards.
Wow.
Yeah. So the accounting piece allows you, it gives you some help. But the business side is what actually allows you to, because how do you think about going to government to talk to them about tax remission,
Yeah.
So actually, it was an eye-opener. And then it was, I was still not happy with, because my intention was to go to become a CEO. And
Hold on.
Yes.
I just heard you say that for the first time. At this time,
or rather, to run a business.
Okay,
to be general, what they used to call in the business, they used to say the general management path, the commercial stroke general management path versus functional path.
I get it.
So now so as soon as I went into industry I was very clear I didn't want to go into a functional.
I get it.
So because I could also be strategy director for Africa, finance, all these things. But I kind of knew that I wanted a path that was different. But I knew I had a problem.
What's the problem?
The problem is I had mostly an advisory background. So you are advising clients, Even internally with strategy, you are still advising. I didn't have an operational, an operational background. And I kind of could observe and see the best general managers were people who had commercial instinct combined with operational experience. Yes, you need strategy and all these things, but actually that's not the most important. If you look at the people who are very successful, even billionaires, they tend to be people who have instinct, commercial instinct. They start as traders, isn't it?
Yes.
And then they kind of form businesses and so on and so forth. Eventually, they now put some structure and all that stuff. So the dreamers are not necessarily the best general managers. Probably innovators could become general managers because they are so passionate about the idea and so on and so forth. But to be an innovator, you don't necessarily have to be a strategist. You just have to really push the boundaries about what people need, customers or like society.
To really push the boundaries of what the market needs.
Yes.
Yes.
It could be society, it could be customers, it could be anything, market. So this same senator, which we had come up with, we were having problem seeing it commercialized and coming to life. So we had already put the production, we were producing it, we had a new route to market and all that stuff, but we were not getting the sales. So I volunteered in 2005, December 2005, cancelled my leave, volunteered to go and sell the product. Literally. That's where my commercial role started. So literally volunteer to go and sell.
Okay, and what does that look like?
So go out there, recruit
distributors,
shadow the team that was really doing the work, help them fast track the thing, etc. Distributors, see where the barriers are, what are the blockers, what is going on, where the margins right, what is going on. And I tell you, through that December, we saw a huge shift in our momentum. And then,
what were some of the things that you noticed was preventing sales from happening?
Just like lack of decision making on the ground.
Wow.
Because people probably were not fully empowered. It's a new business. It is not operating like the existing one, which almost runs on its, So you almost have to make judgment every day with the type of person you should be recruiting, giving more freedom to the team within some boundaries. And kind of just went around in I can't remember, it was a Suzuki one of those cars around the country. In fact, one time I remember I asked the CEO I can just get a double cab. Then he told me, no, you need a saloon. you are a strategy guy. So anyway, we went around with this guy who was called Henry. He was called he was in charge of this thing, and we solved a lot of the issues that were and a lot of what that taught me is many times issues just are not resolved on the day because people are not empowered, or people don't think they are supposed to resolve, or they have the authority to resolve. But because I was a senior person, I could make decisions on the spot. And if I don't, I can call up the line. And then there was a big change that was done because the business was not in a good place because it had slowed down. And then the CEO, in his wisdom, in the January, February, the following year, made me what they were calling change director sales. So I was now supposed to go and change the sales. But actually, what I didn't realize, in a couple of months, it would just be converted to sales director. So I became sales director. I've never sold anything.
They called it change director sales.
Then sales director.
They know what you're doing.
Yes. I had never sold anything, never been in sales. This was my first job, and it was the leadership role. And there was a very big change that has happened in the organization. So I remember addressing the sales team that time, and many people had been recruited, some had left, big restructuring done, because basically after Castle left, the system started to become a bit complacent. So there was a bit of renewal that was required. I didn't do the change, so the previous system did the change. So me, I was kind of put in to lead. And you know, when you are leading and you change the organization, you have to be very careful. You might actually be going into the lion's den. So I remember when I went into the first meeting, the first conference with the team to launch this thing. I said, here are the things you need to know. First, I don't know anything about sales.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you are looking for someone to teach you sales, it's not me. Because me, I've never sold anything. So I'm going to learn with you, and I'll welcome you to teach me. The second is the things that I'm going to bring is that I understand this business. I have been at a very senior level leading strategy. I know what the business wants. And I can cut through and make the decisions, whoever needs to be involved. And second, I know how to develop talent. So don't give me history about how talent, you need to be in this role forever. All I want is you are delivering great performance, you are looking after our customers, and you are creating growth. That's it. And it was probably the most liberating time. So 3 years I spent in sales. I got some of the best growth in that business. We used in that industry, in drinks industry, they use hectoliter. Hectoliter is 100 liters. I went in when it was 50,000 hectoliters per year.
Yeah.
I left when it was 800,000, so close to 1 million hectoliters in 3 years. So we created a business that was as big as Tusker in 3 years, and also grew the rest of the business. So not just this, and then inspired dealers. I remember one of the best things that I did at that time, the dealer conference, I said, because the East Africa breweries dealers or distributors were very established and very respected in this country because it was the biggest business, and they had come through, and there were people of repute. But I said to them, and the bravery is important, just like with the sales conference, I said to the distributors, there's two things I observe in this room. You guys are fantastic. You are well known. You influence your your area that you are given, and you are delivering great performance. But there's one big problem. You are all above a certain age, and within a couple of years, say 5-10 years, if you don't bring your sons and daughters, your business will die.
Wow.
Because I said I've been consulting businesses and so on and so forth. The biggest issue is succession. And I tell you, when I speak to some of the guys, they tell me the thing that they remember me most with is that I asked them to drive succession planning. So many of them, the following conference, half of the people, of at least the following 2 conferences, half of the people came with their sons and daughters. And many of those dealers are now run by kids.
The next generation.
The next generation. So there was a big transition that happened. And many of them said to me, by the way, I knew I was not, I didn't know what time and all that stuff, but you actually, the minute you said our business could die, and it is a business you've created from scratch, we had to do something. And then, so after, then I learned about customers. I was very patient in learning. I spent 80% of my time in trade. And I remember one time I got someone from London who was the sales director for Diageo. He told me, I asked him, what's your advice? Because the sales thing. He told me, spend time in shops because shops don't lie. Yeah, don't spend time in the office. Because I knew about strategy. I had developed it. Now it's about execution. So I could think on my feet, etc., and all that stuff. So I would just go to trade. I would visit the whole country. I knew everyone by name. And then all I did was to resolve problems, develop talent, look after customers. And the business really, really grew. And then I remember, and also made some tough decisions.
Okay.
Here is the tough decisions. There were those people who are not doing their job, dealers or people or internal people. And I said, here you'll be rewarded if you do your job, you deliver your targets, you get even more. Whether you are an employee, and I measured the people had the same targets, the employee and the dealer. So if you're in charge of a dealer, you have the same target. And I took some of the decisions that people had taken a long time to take, and I actually said to the CEO, by the way, these decisions I'm going to take, like terminating a few,
releasing some,
and etc, and then I'm sure there will be lots of escalation. And I said, I'll let you deal with that. And I actually dealt with it. So basically, I empowered the team to feel, actually, I have authority to do all these things. And so again, a bit of common sense, but also humility to learn new things. And also one of the things I learned, because I went through an assessment before, and we were using a company called YSC. Which is a kind of psychology. You are assessed for your fit for role and all that stuff. I didn't go for assessment for this role, but I did it after I got the role as a development assessment for how I develop in role. One of the things they said is that when you don't know an area, you listen. When you are an expert in an area, you actually don't listen. So if I was working in finance or in strategy, I would not be listening.
Yes.
But because I was working in sales, so
you listen.
I listened. So I listened and actually learned to listen. And it was a very significant growth time for me professionally.
Can I ask about the... I don't want to skip this one because I'm sure with every CEO or with every role or every leader, let me use the word leader, making tough decisions. How do you go about making tough decisions? First of all, what's the psychology about it? Because granted, even every day in Safaricom, you have to make some tough decisions.
True.
You get, what's the psychology and how do you deal with the backlash? I can imagine you're taking some distributor's region away from him because he's not performing. He can decide to now block you from ever entering that region or block his replacements. So I'm just trying to understand it from a leadership perspective. How do you go about tough decision making, the hard decisions?
Yeah. In a way, you learn. You have to learn. It's an art. It is not something that you are born with. So you kind of have to learn. So like I told you during our audit days, you have to actually learn tough messages. With people. So you kind of emotionally have to learn tough messages, but with still ownership of the person you are landing the message. You get what I mean? It's very difficult. It's very difficult. However, the most important that I have learned generally in making tough decisions is to extract yourself from the person and actually focus on the issue that you are dealing with. Because you see, if, for example, you have a whole country and you're in charge of sales, you can see which areas are not performing, and you can see what is causing for those things not to perform. Maybe there's dealers who are not performing, maybe individuals within the business who are not performing in any business, and it could be other issues. You have to have made an assessment in a fair way what is causing the problem, and actually be clear. Here are the criteria for good performance, and given people enough time to have to deal with or to remedy the problem that exists. Because you can't just come and clean up. Because first of all, you don't know. Like I didn't know what was going on. So I had to take time. I had to address people. I had to say, here is how we'll measure performance, both for your success, but also ours. Both for the people who are working for you, but also the people who are working, your customers. And also have a higher goal, which is we all want customers to love what we do. We all want to grow as businesses. If you grow, we grow. So you have to keep to put some common guardrails, and then kind of say, but here are the exceptions, and here is how we will deal with the exceptions. Because if you don't put some guardrails and facts, then people will think you are against them. So I've learned to extract myself from the personal, the person. But many times it's not possible, because if you are dealing with an individual within the business, or you are dealing with it's a human being involved.
I was going to say that it's a human being.
So then also seek help from the professionals. So like HR plays a very important role. Sometimes we ignore HR and just do the things we want to do. But seek help in terms of also, how do we make the change, and how do we ensure that we preserve the dignity of so rather than just kind of you are fired today and kind of leave now. Security is to take you out of the system. So also remember, these are human beings, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, and as the more senior you get, the worse it gets. Because there are fewer, it's more only at a leadership level. But I think if you feel you are doing the right thing, so there's an ethical thing here. If you feel you are doing the right thing, because you're given a responsibility. Sometimes we want to be popular, and many times you want to be popular, and that issue will not go away. And actually, you'll make it worse, because the people who are doing a good job, they'll say, what's the point? Yeah. So if you want a meritocratic system, you have to showcase that. And otherwise, people will say, well, that one is favored, or this one is favored. But if you have that's why I said to the guys what I bring and what I don't bring. You get what I mean? So almost being transparent about what you know and what you don't. But also emotionally, I couldn't talk about the psychology of it, but emotionally, you have to be comfortable with not being liked. If you have a high need for being liked, then it's very difficult to do these things. It's very difficult, because then you'll be seeing, well, but what will this person think about me? Yeah, and it's not because you don't want to be liked. It's just that your job description is not about being liked. It's about leading.
Yes.
Yeah, and some of the best leaders are the ones who make the firmest decisions. Yeah, actually, and are the most listened to. So what I think what I did well in sales, first of all, I was new, so I listened. Second, I was with the team on the ground, so they felt this guy owns us and wants to solve the problem. But thirdly, this guy will resolve the bigger issues, the issues that we have been facing that have not been resolved for a long time. And whether they involve, and then therefore, people, and I'm sure there are some fellows who probably didn't like what I did, both employees and whatever. And there are some people who really loved it. Because I remember now, after 3 years, there was a channel like I go to a general management role.
So now again, transition time comes.
Yeah, now transition time comes, because I'm not a sales guy there. Now I want to go to general manager, but then something else. Remember I told you about the river. At the time I was about transition, the group CFO role, group FD role became vacant. So now I was interviewed for the group CFO, and the reason why I accepted the role, because it was a senior role, leadership role. Finance, if you think about your general management career, will always help you. And thirdly, it was a number 2 role within our business. So from a leadership perspective, I felt it's still in service of me being a business leader, if you get what I mean. So sometimes it's not the titles and what you do, it's actually the nature of the responsibility you have and the task that you are being given. So I moved finance.
So you became the group CEO for?
No, group finance director.
Also group finance director.
Yeah, so
ABL.
Yeah, ABL. So when I was announced, I remember the dealer said, hey, sales guy being made groups. Then they were told actually this guy came from finance. And I remember when I went to sales, the London guys, the guys in Diageo,
Yes.
said there's a finance guy, strategy guy being put into sales.
Into sales.
But actually, dealers did not know. Many distributors did not know that my background was nothing to do with marketing and sales. In fact, there was one dealer who told me, "I thought you were a marketing and sales guy." I said, "No, never. That's not my background." Yeah. So I think so. If people ask me which was one of your best roles, I said that's one of my best roles, because I had to learn new things. I had to learn customers. That's when I really learned customers. And I had to learn operations. Because sales, you are delivering every day.
Yep.
You can't wait until, you can't tell the people to postpone their buying to next week. You know. So if you don't deliver today, you have a problem. So then now move to finance. And my issue, so of course now I go back to, now I joined the main board as a PLC listed board. And the finance director role is very different. You know, you are announcing results, you are leading the business, you are liaising with the shareholders and everything and so on. So now that's when I learned about how do you deal with listed businesses, how do you deal with, that's why I was telling you that the training, you realize this finance that I was trained doesn't know how. There's none of that. Actually, the things that helped me most was the experience along the way, rather than the technical training.
Yeah.
Because you're
But the technical training opens the door.
No, the technical training opens, and also functionally you cannot not have it.
Yeah.
Because then how will you lead finance people? And but I remember actually the people in the parent company, which is Diageo, saying I was a very different finance director, even in the Africa finance leadership team. Like if you put all the finance directors there, because I was not trained in finance in a traditional way. I was trained in a roundabout way. I also had commercial experience. I had strategy background. So therefore, I was a more commercial finance person. So therefore, every time, like even internally, when we had a crisis, the marketing and sales guys would come to me, and they knew they couldn't BS me, because I'd tell them, but I know what you are doing. You know, I know all the tricks you guys have, and then I had commercial judgment.
Yeah.
Because I had tested it.
Yes.
In the field, and I had made mistakes. So you have to make mistakes, and then now I was learning to be a finance director, because the thing with the finance director and also being on the board is, if performance doesn't show up, there are only two people who will be dealt with: the CEO and the CFO. All these others just are casualties of convenience. The people who are dealt with are the CEO and
the CFO.
So you now start to understand what your role is, which is board and the shareholders have given you a very specific responsibility to run this company, and you better run it properly. And then the cycles of delivering performance, you get it wrong one year, you recover the following year. It taught me how, finance is also quite important, because if you have 3 cycles of delivering performance, you learn the things not to do and the things to do, and the things to avoid.
And there are some cycles of delivering performance.
Yes, there are some schoolboy errors that you make when you're what we would call a rookie CFO or rookie CEO. And by the way, they are there.
You have to make them.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how much you've been taught, you will still make them. like I'll tell you one rookie one for a CFO. So your ESA starts in January, like most banks. And then you kind of say 8 months in, so you're in August, end of August. Say your budget says you should be at 10% growth year on year. End of August, you're kind of 5. So you're half.
But it's 8 months in.
8 months in. Then you are told, do a forecast for the balance of year. because you're incentivized, not necessarily financially, but emotionally and professionally, you're incentivized to deliver performance. You're to do the forecast and tell us how you recover and what will be the year-end thing. So now, all of a sudden, you've been delivering 5%.
Oh.
All of a sudden, you promise 15% for balance of year, so that you catch up a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you think at the end of the year, you want to be closer to your 10. Every rookie CFO makes that mistake. Rather than saying, let me bite the bullet.
Yeah.
The trajectory is 5.
Let
me accept 5.
Yes.
Call 5 for balance of year, unless there's something else that is telling me it's not 5.
Yeah.
And then now I have time to work a plan that is an alternative plan, isn't it? Because it won't prevent you from working for something else, isn't it?
Yes.
Then if you delivered 10 for balance of year, it's fine. It's actually a bonus. Rookie CFO.
And what's a rookie CEO? Or we'll get
there. No, we'll get there to the CEO.
Rookie
CEO. But then the following year, now you've had your stripes.
Your stripes.
The guys push you to give a forecast. They say year 2, they give you are off track. They tell you, please, the forecast. You tell them, no, this is what I'll deliver. Oh, no. So now you learn how to pass bad news, even if it affects you.
Wow.
Because you basically are putting your job on the line.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll say, well, don't mind to be in the naughty boys' corner or girls' corner, but here it is.
Yeah.
They take the bad news, And then even when you're talking to the market, that's the same thing. Sometimes you might promise something to the market that actually makes no sense. And in a way...
Did you ever have to tell shareholders that this year there's no dividends?
No.
You didn't, eh?
No.
But just, of course, then from the other element, then there's the element of reduced dividends. If they're used to a certain amount, share price, it's gone down.
Yeah. So for me, during my days at East Africa Breweries, and later when I went to Diageo in West Africa, but that time as a CEO, although I ran listed businesses, yes, there were issues. There were times when we didn't have, we had challenges, but because we were announcing results on a regular basis, you could manage the shareholders based on what they are seeing.
Okay.
But being honest was actually quite important. But the worst feeling is giving bad news to the market or to the board. As in bad news on performance, not bad news on an issue. Of course, you have to give bad news in many times, but it's when you're a CFO or CEO, it's a very difficult thing to do. But that's why I also experienced, in a way, coming from a commercial background helped me as a CFO to actually understand more. Because sometimes when CFOs are trained in just this channel of finance, they don't understand enough on the commercial side. So sometimes they make bigger mistakes. So my CFO role was really instrumental in me now starting to be more external facing with investors, with the shareholders, with the group. Previously you were kind of more commercial, in market and so on. And then, so after 3 years, that's when now I got now my breakthrough to be CEO.
Wow.
As in 2011, I was appointed Managing Director of Guinness in Ghana.
Before we are placeholder right there.
Yeah.
I want to understand. Your career trajectory. By the way, you paint such a beautiful picture. It's clear. I can understand. I can see you on the ground with the dealers, the distributors. I can see you speaking to the board with the shareholders. I can see that whole trajectory in which you've gotten here. But there's one side. I keep telling you, there's two sides of the coin. Life.
Yeah.
What happens to normal life? Are you married at this time? Are you dating?
Yeah. So I got married before I became CFO.